Good morning, Kingswood, and welcome back. Unfortunately, we don't have a full show for you this week, but we still have this and a very special surprise for you later in the show. So, let's get started. Let's begin with the NFL, and more specifically, the Super Bowl. I've thought a lot about my pick, and I think I've decided. Despite the improbable run that the Bengals have been on, I think this is where it ends. The Rams' pass rush, I think, is just too much for the Bengals' weaker offensive line. I think the Bengals are going to be able to put up points for the first 2.5 to 3 quarters, but as the game wears on, I think Joe Burrow is going to wear down. Now, admittedly, the Bengals' defense is nothing to sniff at, but I trust Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford to find out how to avoid their pass rush and find the soft spots in their coverage. Now, if the Rams still had Jared Goff at QB, I wouldn't be so sure. However, now they have Matthew Stafford, who isn't Peyton Manning, but he's got a heck of an arm and he can make every throw on the field reliably. So, with all that said, my final score prediction is 23-30 Rams. Also, yes, I'm aware Tom Brady and Ben Roethlisberger retired. Maybe I'll do a career retrospective for them one day, but right now I don't have anything all that profound to say, and I'm not even really convinced that Brady is going to stay retired anyway. Now we'll be moving on to that surprise segment that I told you about earlier. So, here's our very own Tyler DeJardins with his review of Baby Keem's Melodic Blue.
Hello everybody and welcome back to Entertainment News. I'm your host, Tyler DeJardins. Last year was a fantastic year for music, and if you ask me, one of the standouts was the debut studio album of rapper Baby Keem with The Melodic Blue. With a 16-track-long track list, this album dives into Keem's thoughts on both his place in the world and the industry as a whole. With the first verse on the opening track, Trademark USA, going into how he didn't feel heard during a previous relationship, and then going into a bombastic show of what he's achieved since the breakup. I really enjoy this album, all except the second song, which, if you've listened to it, then you know what I'm talking about, and I don't think I can say the title due to inappropriate reasons. Luckily, all the other songs are really good. Personal favorites of mine are Trademark USA, Scapegoat, Boo Man, Vent, and of course, Family Ties, which brings the glorious return of Kendrick Lamar, who's stayed relatively silent since 2018 with his work on the Black Panther soundtrack. Overall, I really like this album, and I would give it 7 Keems out of 10. I don't have a good scoring system yet. Now, so get off my back, why don't you? And, yeah, back to me in the studio.
Unfortunately, Ty, it's actually not you in the studio, but thanks for the segment. Moving to the NBA. As the All-Star weekend approaches, so does the trade deadline. A quick disclaimer up front, this show was recorded at about 10 o'clock, which the actual trade deadline isn't until 3 p.m. Eastern, so any last-minute trades won't be in here. Sorry for any confusion. Now, moving on to the trades that have happened. C.J. McCollum and Larry Nance Jr. were traded for Josh Hart and Nickeil Alexander-Walker, along with some picks. Yes, Blazers fans, this is a rebuild. Accept it. Considering you also got robbed of Robert Covington and Norman Powell for basically just Eric Bledsoe, I don't think Damian Lillard is sticking around after this season. Except, you also then traded for Joe Ingles, which is definitely a win-now move, once he gets healthy, of course. So I don't really know what they're trying to do. I mean, he's a good veteran, and for all of your young pieces, he'll be a great teacher, but he's a little too good to not win you some games and end up tanking your own draft pick. I know the organization came out and said that they wanted to sign a bunch of free agents and revamp the team to win now, but they always say that, and it never ends up happening. If I'm being honest, historically, high-level guys don't sign there unless they were drafted there and they're signing an extension. I know Dame doesn't want to run from the grind, but that can't change the culture of the NBA by itself. Milwaukee won with their hometown hero, but that was because they made good trades instead of signings and drafted well to get a good all-around team. The Blazers got Damian Lillard, let LaMarcus Aldridge go, and then drafted a not-as-good Damian Lillard and tried to win with that, in a conference with the Warriors with KD, Steph, Clay, and Draymond, the Rockets with James Harden, and later on, the Lakers with LeBron and Anthony Davis. Great plan, guys. I'm sorry, Blazers fans, but I think you have to start over. Moving on. Despite all the rumors, it appears that Ben Simmons won't be traded, meaning that the Nets are all in on this season and are just kind of praying that James Harden re-signs in the offseason. Again, I could be wrong because the deadline isn't here yet, but that's what we know as of 10:37 Eastern Time. Domantas Sabonis was traded in a package including Jeremy Lamb and Justin Holiday to the Sacramento Kings for Tyrese Halliburton, Buddy Hield, and Tristan Thompson. It looks like the Kings are going to go all in for a play-in spot this year, and the Pacers have finally committed to their rebuild. I love this trade for the Pacers, but I really don't know what the Kings were thinking, to be honest. If it were me, I think I would have traded De'Aaron Fox for Sabonis instead of Halliburton. I think those two are just a better fit for each other in the pick and roll, along with better spacing, playmaking, and shooting. Plus, Fox is having a bit of a down year. I mean, not that I don't think he'll ever get back to last year's form, but Tyrese is younger, and it just makes the optics of the trade look bad all around. But I mean, last night they had their first game together, and they looked pretty great. So maybe I'm wrong. Only time will tell. Well, that's going to do it for us, Kingswood. We do have a couple of last-minute announcements. Seniors, everything for yearbooks is due by Friday. The Pro Depot will be closed Thursday. That's today. And if you want to order Valentine's Day cards, get those at the Pro Depot. Obviously not today because it's closed. So, if you have any albums you'd like Ty to review, sports or athletes you'd like me to talk about, or just anything else you'd like to see us do at all, send any of us an email or DM the Nightwatch Instagram account at @night_watch261. Have a great rest of your day, Knights. We'll see you next week.